Today, I'm happy to be joined by Josh Porter of Tuk South. Josh has kindly agreed to come on to the Exile Files English Radio as the first guest, and I thought today would be a good time to do language for travel, weather, excitement, adventure. So, without further ado, Josh, welcome, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Peter. Glad to be on Exile, what is it? Exile Files Radio.
Yeah, the publication is called the Exile Files. It's the entertainment wing
Yeah.
of Peak English, my English teaching business. And right now, it's called the Exile Files English Radio. And it used to be called the Exiled Radio, but I thought I'd better throw some English in there so my students know where to find it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's good. I saw your poster as well. Thank you for depicting me in quite such a cool fashion. I thought, wow, it looks like a Wild West reward photo. Yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. You're welcome. So, as I said, before we started talking, I've got hundreds of students who, when they go into an exam, they're not native English speakers and they freeze up and they think it's because they don't know English, okay? And I wanted to find a cool way to find some cool people to show them that, it's pretty much fun and it's all about storytelling, really. If you can keep someone engaged, it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. I mean, I make mistakes every day when I speak English and I've been speaking it my whole life. So today's topic is travel, weather, difficult conditions, what happens when things go wrong in the most interesting possible way, which is something that you have a lot of experience with. So anyone who's listening to this, who's an English learner and wants to improve their English, I'm going to have a few more of these chats going forward into the summer. So definitely subscribe and listen out for it. So Josh, just to give you a quick bio, you're a filmmaker, a writer, a traveler. You started riding electric motorbikes, I think, in, I don't know, Indonesia, was it?
Yeah, it was the Philippines.
Oh, in the Philippines, excuse me. And then you took a tuk-tuk down from Kenya to South Africa, and then from South Africa, after a little break, from South Africa to South America, and now you're going from South America, the tip of South America, the bottom part, all the way up to the Arctic. So my first question, Josh, is why a tuk-tuk? You could have used a car, a Land Rover maybe, a plane, Josh. A plane would have been a fantastic mode of transportation, but you decided to use a tuk-tuk. Now, for everyone listening, please explain what a tuk-tuk is and why you chose to use that.
So a tuk-tuk is a three-wheeled vehicle that's normally used as like a taxi in India or Thailand or Vietnam. It's meant for short trips. And the reason why they use them is because it has three wheels, one at the front, and that one wheel means your turning circle in a tuk-tuk is much better than it would be in a car. So in terms of you can do a 360 turn on a tuk-tuk and in no space at all, pretty much the space of the width of the tuk-tuk. So yeah, they're very maneuverable and nimble. Now, what they're not good for is long distance travel because their suspension is terrible. The seats are terrible. They fall over all the time. They're very unstable. Their fuel tank is 10 liters, so that's about 250 kilometers. So by every metric, they are a terrible overlanding vehicle. But by being a terrible overlanding vehicle, they generate stories. They're like little story generators. You cannot drive a tuk-tuk through a country and have everything go right. Everything will go wrong. And when everything goes wrong, that's where the best stories live, we've found. So although they're crap at actually moving, they're great at inventing situations which are worth telling, I'd say.
I got you. So where are you physically right now?
Right now, I know this is sometimes an audio podcast, but I am by a lake in Colombia. So we've made it from the very bottom, Tierra del Fuego, up to Colombia, which is our final country of South America. It's at the very tippity top. So now we've done Kenya to Cape Town, and we've done South America pretty much. We've done a lot of driving in these little things. Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah. So, what does like a normal day look like? So, like, I follow you on TikTok and now on YouTube. The YouTube videos are fantastic. Um, And I said to you earlier on that sometimes I feel like I'm behind. Like it says you're in Ecuador, and there's this huge story happening, and then in another one you're in Colombia, in another one you're in Peru. And I know that's the algorithm just pushing different videos.
Yeah.
But can you just tell me like what a normal day looks like? One that's not crazy, but just like a normal
Yeah,
day.
yeah. A normal day. So every day we're waking up in our tents, which are they're called swags. They're like little coffin-shaped things. Not much space in there, but very easy to roll up, and they're durable. So we sleep in our swags. It's waking up in a coffin, and then coffees every day. Just net instant. I get about a liter of instant coffee into me to
Mhm.
kickstart the need to pack away camp. No
Ladies and gentlemen,
breakfast.
for anyone listening, that's the only part of his story I can relate to.
Yeah, liter of coffee, bang, and that helps. And then that once
Yeah.
we've got that in, then generally on the more less eventful days, we're just getting in the tuk-tuk around 9 a.m. after we've packed up camp, had the
Hmm.
coffees, and we're just chugging. We're just chugging to whatever point on the map we've chosen to get to, and normally. We'll be pushing up hills because in the Andes in South America, these mountains are ridiculously high. It's not like the
Hmm.
Alps or the mountains in the UK. Once you get into the Andes, you're automatically pretty much over 3,000, 4,000 meters, and at that altitude, you're pushing a lot. So, because the tuk-tuks get altitude sickness too, which I had no idea that happened, but it turns out less oxygen
Hmm.
in the air, the engines die. So then we're doing cardio, tuk cardio, which is whoever's in the back, sitting in the back of the tuk-tuk, because you've got two drivers, two people in the back, they're pushing up hills, which I was in the back today. So I did a lot of pushing up hills in the rain and then get to a campsite around 5 p.m. after a whole day of pushing, eating ice creams, and trying not to get run over by lorries. And then we have dinner. One person cooks dinner per day. Often it's spaghetti bolognese. And then we're wrapped up in our swags pretty much as soon as the sun goes down because we have no other method of entertainment. No TV, no no real anything. So we just get into our tents at when like 7:30, like old people, and
Hmm.
work on our laptops. So that's a
Okay.
non-eventful day. Yeah.
So that's a non-eventful day. And ah, like my next question was, how do you even tell people what you do? Like how, like I said, you're a filmmaker and a writer, and you say you get into your tent at 7 and you work on your laptops. How is it being a nomad, so to speak, and publishing your work, editing your videos? Like, how is that? Because that can't always go to plan, especially when you're out in the wilderness, because you're not always in a town or a village. Sometimes you're out in the sticks.
Yes, no, it's a good point. We actually thought it was going to be a lot easier before we started living permanently on the road. We just thought we'd get loads of followers, money would flood in, and then that would be that. We got
Right.
loads of followers, I think. We got like 190,000 on Instagram, so we're doing okay. And we just thought that money would
Yeah.
magically it's sort of marketed that way in the influencer space that
Right.
once you have 200,000 followers, money just seems to fall upon you. But it turns out you actually have to have a plan, a business plan, and we
Hmm.
don't really have that. We just make content, and because it's fun, and we make just about enough to get by. But it's it's more difficult than you imagine posting when you're just living outside the whole time. Yeah, it's a good point. So we just post when we can.
Well, what one cool thing you could do is like save maybe 40% of the footage and then edit it when this trip is over. And I don't know, maybe you could show that footage to like, I don't know,
A
hey
Patreon or
guys,
something.
it's like, hey guys, we my sleeping bag leaked. But if I had had Johnny's sleeping bag, then this wouldn't have happened. This is your code, and maybe you could show that. I don't know how it works, but show that footage in the future to say, hey, this is where your ad could go in. You know, we've got 200,000 followers. I don't know.
Yeah, no, we're open to all ideas. Well, interestingly,
Yeah.
okay, so one of the things which has been interesting is everything comes in waves with us. So we'll have a wave of serious travel, and then we'll have a wave of sedentary time. And in Colombia,
Hmm.
we are being forced to have a wave of sedentary time because we have to pay for a ferry to get from Colombia to Panama, which is extremely expensive. And we currently do not have enough money to pay for that ferry. So now that we have this period of sedentary, we can now start diving into the ideas, like you said, like reaching out to these companies, which we would never do when we were high up in the mountains or in the desert or in the Amazon rainforest. We're just literally just trying to keep the ball rolling. But when we get to places like this, like right now, I'm in a lake cabin, which is the first time we've been in a cabin this year. And all of a sudden, there's going to be a different parts of our brain spinning, which isn't going to be adventures and stories. It's going to be, okay, we actually need to make some cash now to get to Panama. So
Right.
it's interesting. It is. You learn a lot. You do learn a lot. You even learn. For example, I only met you because I was out of money in the Philippines, and
Hmm.
I didn't. Was making no money from TikTok, and I just had to. I
It's,
had to
it's
make some
such
money.
it's such a strange origin story. It's like the only reason I know Peter is because I was out of money in the Philippines.
Yeah, that's it. That's like that literally is it. I mean, because I was looking at my TikTok following of 150,000 followers, and I was just swearing at it. Like, what are you good for? What are you like? How do people do it? I had no idea how people monetize their following. Still don't really.
Mhm.
But Medium, the community on Medium, wow, they really saved my bacon. I was gonna have to return
Mhm.
home with my tail between my legs, but
Mhm.
luckily Medium gave me 6 months of traveling funds and good
Yeah.
connections, and yeah, it was great.
For anyone listening, Medium's a writing platform where writers and authors can write articles, and it gets monetized. And sometimes the stories do really well. So the next question I want to ask you is the Kenya question, from Kenya to Cape Town, because I have no idea what it's like to go up and down a continent, especially in a tuk-tuk. What are the differences you're seeing? Like, of course, there's a difference. Look, it's Africa, man. This is South America, so it's different. But really, people are people at the end of the day. So, what are you seeing? Like, what have you noticed? What's different besides the not just the nature? Is there a different feel?
Yeah, yeah.
Somewhere you felt more comfortable? Um, you know.
Yes. No, the differences have been marked. I mean, all of the first ones that I clocked were natural, like you said. Like the wildlife in Africa is vastly different to the wildlife here, and in Africa,
Hmm.
everything is a bit bigger and a bit more dangerous. The bigger animals like lions, buffaloes, elephants, they were a real worry when we were driving through Africa. Whereas in South America, it's more been the insects. Like you go down into the Amazon and you realize that you are on the menu, maybe not for like the bigger animals, but you're on the menu for the insects. And when those insects get
Yeah.
inside of you, I mean, they've got diseases in the Amazon which literally kept back civilizations from entering there and moved people on. So whenever you go in there, you don't realize just how powerless you are to these little things. So we got messed up by diseases in the Amazon. That was different to Africa. Africa, we got malaria. But yeah, in terms of the vibe of the people, it's been incredibly different. Couldn't be more different. Going
Right.
through even countries in South America are amazingly different. Like going from Peru into Ecuador, the change is immediate, and you realize just how
Hmm.
much of an effect the environment plays on people, and about how like the way that their interactions are with you. Like when you are in the cold, hard Andes, the people that are there, they can be helpful because they know that what times are like when conditions are tough. But there's also like this. It's almost like Northern English people are a bit seen as a bit more. What's the word? Warm, but maybe a bit more rough than
Right.
in the south of England. You can feel that when you travel through the Andes, the mountains, and then the desert, and then into somewhere like the tropics. And as soon as we got into Ecuador and fruit was abundant and vegetables were abundant, the people just seemed to like come out. They were a lot more what's the word? Extroverted. They were a lot more sort of
Hmm.
flamboyant. than the people that we were with in the Andes who were working hard to farm the land up there, and maybe just didn't have as much time for the extroverted nature. But you just notice how much the landscape and the ecosystems you're driving through impacts the people who are living there. Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Next question. Instagram travel versus the real thing. There are some mornings when I'm making my Nescafe, and you'll pop up on my feed, and I'll say, "Ah, there's Josh," and I'll watch. And, if I'm having, normally I'm not the kind of person who's kind of like, oh God, that'd be nice. You know what I mean? I'm quite content with how I am. But there are some times when I'm like, oh, I would love to be doing that right now. But because I kind of know the behind the scenes, like you've told me, like what it can be like, not that it's awful, but it is pretty tough from time to time. I'm like, oh no, I couldn't do that. You know. So what should people know when they are traveling? Not everyone's going to do a tuk-tuk, of course, but just kind of going to the places where you go. Do you have any tips to give them about how to survive, basically?
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's an old cliche about the energy you put out into the world is returned to you, but that one is
Hmm.
super true. Even with the police in where places where we've been can be a major stumbling block for travelers, overlanders, and the ability to butter up a policeman is an ability which is worth like get forming. You know how in those movies where you have an interrogator or someone who's trying to like talk down a kidnapper or something. What's it called? That person?
Right.
You know the one.
Interrogator.
Yeah, something like that. But
Hostage negotiator.
yes, yes. That you know how
Okay.
they try to get a personal connection with they try and
Right.
humanize everything. With police,
Hmm.
you got to do that immediately. Like we have some Colombian police pull us over today, and immediately they knew they were giving us the stern look. They were like, okay, papers, licenses, and as soon as we figured out that they liked fishing, we just got them talking about what fish they were pulling out of the lake. You can get a policeman to
Right.
start talking about what he does on his weekends, and then then he's going to be your best friend and your ally. But
Right.
if you did never make that human connection, then they could be a real problem. So I guess my main
Right.
advice would be try and learn enough Spanish, find ways of getting on common ground with people. You can find common ground with anyone anywhere in the world. Everyone eats, everyone drinks. You can find out like what people like, and you
Tip.
can
So
bond on that.
tip number one is be polite and nice to policemen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I totally get it. I
100%.
totally get it. All right. So, can you give me one moment from the road that really did not go to plan, that nearly derailed everything?
I mean, we just had one. We've got an old story from Mozambique where we got surrounded because we drove through a war zone and tried to go camping there. Turned out that's stupid. But we had one which just happened to us. We've been sort of lucky in our drive up Argentina, Chile, and Peru so far that all of the countries have been sort of stable. There's been a level of
Right.
law and order which hasn't been too much of a problem, even in tuk-tuks. But then in Ecuador, we just entered at a bad time when the government was trying to
Mhm.
crack down on some of the cartels down there. And it did end with us witnessing bombs exploding in a city and
Oh no.
also and yeah, I mean, no one died in the bomb blast, but then we did get
Mhm.
stopped at a toll booth, and then at a toll booth there was a shootout with the police and gangs while we were there in tuk-tuks with no doors, and
Oh,
that was the moment where we realized that we had to get out of Ecuador or get at least away from the coast because it wasn't a good place to be. Yeah.
my wife and I have been rewatching Narcos. Um, the one about what's his name, Pablo Escobar in Colombia. And I have lots of Colombian friends, and they kind of say to me, "Oh, Peter, don't watch that, please. It's just giving more, you know, I don't know, like publicity to this man or this way of life. It's not a good thing for our country." And but it's a testament to South America and especially the Colombian people that I can watch a TV show like Narcos and that's based on terrible, terrible things, and obviously be sad watching it. But still come away by, of course, saying, yeah, that's terrible, but like thinking, like, goddamn, I love Colombians. You know what I mean? That country is beautiful. They're amazing people. Like, it's maybe it's because I have a personal connection with them. I work with them every day, but it's just such a beautiful country. And it's South America is somewhere where my wife and I really want to go in the
Mm,
future.
I
Which
completely
one would you
agree.
most recommend? Which country?
Uh, I mean, so far, I mean, Peru is just if you want diversity of experience, you've got to go to Peru. I mean, Peru is
Mhm.
it just has everything because it's so big. So it's the size of three Kenyas, Peru, and it has the
Right.
Amazon rainforest at one corner. It has the Andes mountain range running through the middle, and then it has the desert on the coast. So you have pretty much every biome. And then in terms of the culture, my God, if you want to see a country which is still glued to its culture and still so proud of its heritage, then I've never seen any people who are sort of they just every weekend is a fiesta where they're showing off a different aspect of their culture, and it's they're still very connected to that, and it was extremely special to see. I've never been anywhere like Peru, so I'd recommend that one for you and your wife.
What's the worst weather conditions you've encountered?
It's interesting, actually. I mean, because weirdly, the worst weather conditions for us are water, rain. To be honest, it would be England. England would be the worst place for us. We are we can deal with snow. We can deal with well, I say we can deal with snow. That's a lie. But we can deal with the cold. We can deal with the hot. Humidity
Mhm,
is a bastard for us because we just can't afford
mhm.
to replace some of the equipment that we have. So we have cameras
Yeah,
which cost maybe $3,500, and if my camera goes, then that's the end of me having a camera. I just shoot things with my iPhone. And humidity and
right,
rain, wetness. The wetness of the Amazon is the worst that we experienced. You get caught in a
right.
thundstorm in the Amazon, anywhere where you think is safe and dry, it'll get in there.
Stop.
The it'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it'll get there. So yeah, water, the Amazon.
Nice. So you have two TikToks. You have Josh Porter, and then you have the team's TikTok, which is Tuck South.
Yeah.
I saw, and on it, that's the same for Instagram and for YouTube as well. I saw, what's his name? Was it Jasper or the other man? He had to get the bug taken out of him. Like you
Oh,
got
that was
lucky.
Robbie. That was Robbie.
Oh,
Yeah.
Robbie. Okay, yeah, poor Robbie. I always feel like Robbie in the Tuck South team. I kind of feel like I don't want to sound mean, but I do. He feels like the Richard Hammond
But he's so
of the
tall.
team.
He's 6'1".
No, I know, but or maybe James May. I'm not sure, but he seems like no, definitely he's Mr. Slow. If he was like, it just feels like Robbie would be the one who would be left behind after an accident or something, and the rest of you would be okay with it. You know, like you say, this is a great opportunity for content.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And you know what? That's spot on.
Good. Tell him I said that.
No,
All right. So, a moment of genuine fear and doubt that you've encountered in the last 3 years, 4 years, however long you've been doing this.
genuine fear was the most terrified I've been was fear or doubt. I mean, there was a time in Tanzania when we had just started the trip where we tried to camp in a gorge which was a kilometer deep in this valley, and
Hmm.
when we went to camp for the night, we were promised by the Maasai people there that it wasn't going to rain. They were like, it doesn't rain here for many, many months. Over a year, it hadn't rained. So we thought it was safe to camp with
Who are the Marsai people?
the Maasai are a tribe that occupy the bit between Kenya and Tanzania is their land. They're the famous ones who wear the red and do the jumping. Um,
But
and
famously for them, a month in their calendar equals like a day. The more you
Really,
know.
oh, I
I'm
didn't know that.
joking. I don't know, but that's possible. Like they could be
Maybe.
saying to you, like, "Hey, it's not going to rain for a few months," but for maybe they have a whole different calendar, a whole
True.
different way of seeing the world.
Yeah, maybe. Well, they definitely have a different way of seeing the world. They're
Yeah.
they're tough people. They got their because they have to protect their cows from lions and stuff. So you're
Hmm.
right. Those guys they're built different. Like you think you've had a
Yeah.
rough day, but have you had to fight a lion to get your cow back? Probably not. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
these boys they told us to camp in this valley, and then we camped, and then we got hit by a giant thunderstorm, and because it was the first thunderstorm in about a year, it sent these boulders coming down the valley to where we were camping, and
Oh.
there was just nothing that we could do. So we were hearing these boulders. Say a boulder that big falling from a kilometer above. If it hits you, then you're just exploding into splat. And that they
Hmm.
were hitting the path around us, and we were all huddled under the same tarp. And I remember just looking into everyone's eyes, and everyone realized that we had no control over the outcome of the night. And we spent about 2 hours where we were getting bombed by these rocks that were just smashing the path all around us. It was pitch black, so you can't like look up and dodge them. And also every centipede, there were centipedes that were about uh 10 inches long, 8 inches long,
Hmm.
which because of the rain were looking for a place to survive the downpour, and the only dry place in that whole canyon was underneath our tarpaulin. So these centipedes were finding their way into our tarp, and unfortunately there was no time for sentiment. We had to get a rock each, and we all had to just beat these giant
Oh God.
centipedes. Yeah, it was like being in a horror movie.
Okay. Well, you guys definitely deserve some sponsorship.
Thank you. Come on.
Um, I want to ask you, because my dream is actually to sponsor my local football team back home. Um, so hopefully in the next 6 months we'll have like peak English or peak IELTS on a football or something. What can people do to support you? Besides become a paid subscriber, is there any way someone could put their business on your tuk-tuks or have something appear in a video? Like what's a way? Because like you said, you've got I don't know close to 300,000 followers across all platforms, maybe.
I think we got 500,000 across all. Yeah, across all
Yeah. So
platforms.
what's
We've
a
got
way
half a
for
million.
because just for people not who don't know, I mean the tire roll video did over 1 million views on YouTube. It did probably 1 million on TikTok.
It got, I think,
More.
100. It got 80 million.
Um,
That one,
80 million.
I think it got 150 million overall. One of them did. So
And
there's a lot of opportunity. It's true.
yeah, and you also Man News, which is kind of a satirical, funny Instagram fellow, commentated on your newest tire roll. They did the first one as well and the newest one. So it's like you're getting picked up by the internet. So is there a way for someone who, sells camping gear or something like that for anything that could put a sponsorship on your tuk tuk or
For
maybe get
sure.
themselves into your video?
I mean, we would make actual personalized special videos for people. Right now, we really need cash. Normally, we don't really need cash
Yeah.
that badly because we live off, I think, $200 a month each. So we live cheap, but now we've come to a point where to get the tuk-tuks out of South America into Panama, it's going to cost us about $5,000. So if you have a company or you want some eyeballs on a product or you want some marketing and you're sort of in the adventure space, so we're either anything outdoorsy, we're good at. Anything. To be honest, our main audience is men because we are four stinky, smelly boys driving around throwing tires off hills. You can imagine that attracts
Mhm.
a mainly male audience. So if you're selling something which is for men, hit us up because yeah, we get a lot of those.
Which company made that tire that you threw that got 80
Yeah,
million views?
we've reached out Dunlop. Dunlop, we were like Dunlop. We could this, and also DJI because we use an avatar. What's it called? FPV to film these things. DJI have reached out and they've offered some collaboration stuff with us, but often they
That's
message us.
cool.
It is unbelievably cool. They're probably one of our main sponsors that we'd like to lock down as a partner.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, when they message you and you've been in the mountains for 2 weeks and you come down and you reply and they just don't reply to you, that's why I said to you, I guess it's hard to build two things at once. To build a brand is one thing on social media, but to build a business is another. And if you're in the mountains for 10 days and you miss a phone call of DJI, then you've pretty much like that's like your one big business fish for the year. And then you have to just, I don't know, just keep going and hoping that
You
they'll
gotta
call again.
give it a contact to either maybe your sister or your dad or mom or something for these kind
True.
of calls, because yeah, okay, so let's keep going. We're nearly at the end. So, as I said at the top or the bottom, this is the IELTS vocabulary moment, okay? So, I'm going to give you 3 words, okay? Stranded, breathtaking, and resilient.
Yes.
I want you, using your own experience, to put each one into a sentence, please. The first one is stranded.
I was stranded on a desert island in the Pacific Ocean.
Second word, breathtaking.
The view from my bamboo cabin was breathtaking.
Third word, resilient.
Okay, here we go. I quite like this. God, guess I just don't speak English.
See, it's difficult, right? So
It is,
anyone
yeah.
whose English isn't your first language, don't worry. Even native speakers, we get I don't know, stage fright.
Okay, I'll go for it. I attempted to claw the scallops from the rocks for lunch, but they were too resilient.
Those scallops, they can be so resilient sometimes. Those gosh darn scallops. Okay, fun question before the big question. Um, so there's one more IELTS question, but first, the fun question. Of the gang, first of all, do you know Harry Potter?
I do.
Okay, so of your gang, your Tuk South gang, if they were in Harry Potter, what characters would they be, including yourself?
Oh, nice. Okay. Rob would be Ron Weasley. Get that one out of the way. Ivo would definitely be a Ravenclaw. So, actually, no, Ivo would be bloody Cedric Diggory. That boy's good at everything.
Cedric Diggory. Oh, yes, I remember him. The Goblet of
Jasper.
Fire.
Yeah. Jasper would be in Gryffindor, but he's also he's got a little bit of Slytherin in him. I suppose that's Harry Potter. Let's give Jasper Harry Potter, because that sort of sums up Harry. So yeah, he's
Okay.
in Gryffindor, but he's got a capacity for great evil. Um,
Yeah, he's got it in him.
and I would, God, let's just give me Malfoy. Why not just get it over
You
with?
be Malfoy?
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
Be
okay,
Harry's
Malfoy.
mortal enemy, but I like to think we'd put our differences aside at the end.
All right. So I'm not going to mark this. I had a better idea, actually. Well, I'll give a quick mark, but I won't give a full breakdown. I'll let anyone in the comments section or on YouTube or on the audio podcast, they can give their own mark of your score. So here's the IELTS Part 2 question, okay?
Okay.
Do I have it written here? Yeah, I have it right here. So, describe a memorable trip or journey you have been on, okay? You should say where you went, how you traveled there, who you were with, what happened during the trip, what the weather or conditions were like, and explain why this particular trip has stayed with you. You must speak for 2 minutes.
Bloody hell. What are we putting these poor children through or people through? This is tough.
I know, I know. We need to have empathy for these people who are doing their exams and trying to
Yeah.
get jobs in master places over in Europe.
God, if I heard that question, I would, like you said, I would freeze. Okay, let me try and babble this out. Yeah, right now.
I can give you, normally you have a minute to prepare. Um, do you
Okay.
need a minute? If you want,
No, no.
I
I
can
think
do
I could
some
do it.
like promo work as you think.
Okay, you can promo away.
Okay, so you be thinking and I'll be doing promo. Okay.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this first episode of the Exile Files Radio, English Radio, with Josh is one of in a series. We'll be having four more guests over the course of the summer, where they will be put through their IELTS paces. Um, IELTS pace? They'll be put through their IELTS pace. Is it paces or paces? I should know that as an English teacher. Where are my promos gone?
Okay, I'm
This
ready.
week on the IELTS Exile Radio, we have one guest, and that is Josh. Oh, you're ready, thank God. I was joking when I said I had a promo. All right, go for it.
Okay. So my friends and I, the Tuck South gang, were in on the coast of Costa of oh my god, on the coast of Peru. We had arranged to get a colectivo, which is a bus, into the Andes mountain range to an area known as Huayhuash. We went 3,500 meters from sea level up in altitude. And when we arrived, we all had serious altitude sickness because we didn't take a day to prepare. We just got in the bus with no drugs. Then we began the hike, which was a 10-day mountainous adventure through glacial valleys around turquoise lakes and camping the entire way, trying to live off the trout that we were catching. The weather was iffy. It was grey, stormy for most of the mornings, and then occasionally in the afternoon it would open up and we'd have some glorious rays of sunshine. The the people I did it with, Jasper, Ivo, Robbie, Maddie. No, wait, Robbie wasn't there. Robbie was getting leishmaniasis treatment in Lima. So unlucky for Rob, he missed out on the mountain experience. The one of the things which we weren't expecting from the hike was we bumped into a shaggy dog on day one. Now, shaggy dog, we thought he was going to be begging and we thought he was going to be annoying and we didn't know if we actually wanted him to come with us for the entire trip. So when he first arrived, we gave him like 2 hours of space and he gave us 2 hours of space just sitting next to our campsite. And then after we finished dinner, we realized he hadn't begged once. This was on night one, and we decided to feed him some salami. And after we gave him that salami, Shaggy Dog didn't let us out of his sight for 10 whole days. He came with us over 5,000-meter passes. He walked over 80 kilometers through the mountains with us. And he was the greatest companion that I've had that wasn't a human on a walk before. So it was a bit of a mind blowing experience to fall so deeply in love with a dog. And that was why the experience for me was transformative and strange. And something happened at the end of the trip, which has never happened to me before. Which is unfortunately, we knew that the end had come. We'd got to the last village on the Huayhuash circuit, and we decided to buy him a full human meal as payment. So we went into a restaurant, we bought a meal for everyone, and then we bought one extra for Shaggy Dog. And the person was very surprised when we put the plate on the floor, and Shaggy Dog got the chicken and rice. But Shaggy Dog, as he ate that meal, you sense that he wasn't his normal bouncy self. Normally, you would give him some salami and he would go insane. But he ate the chicken and the rice and he was sad, sort of forlorn. Like he ate it, but he wasn't happy about it. And I think it's because he knew what was coming next, which was a pickup truck arrived. We arranged for it to take us back down to the coast because we'd come to the end of our walk. We loaded our bags up, and unfortunately, Shaggy Dog was sat there on the pavement as we were loading our bags up, and he'd seen this sight before, and he was sad. He
Oh
was
no,
whimpering. Yeah. So I actually cried for the first time after one of our
I'm
walks.
crying now, man. That's like a really sad story.
Brutal. And I
I
remember
give you an F. I fail you for making me.
and then as we all gave him a hug goodbye, and bear in mind Shaggy Dog was he was a homeless dog. He was covered in dreadlocks. So initially
Mhm,
we weren't even patting him or definitely not kissing him. But at the end of our walk, we all gave him a kiss, and we clipped off
mhm.
one of his dreadlocks, and it's hanging up in the
Oh,
tuk-tuk right now. So Shaggy Dog is with us in spirit.
that's a great story. Okay, I think I'd give full marks for that one because there's if I was to take marks away from it, I would just, it'd be me being trying to be too clever. But if anybody wants to is listening and maybe wants to make suggestions or anything, they can, but I don't think there's anything really to say about that. Okay, so thanks, Josh. That was awesome.
Cheers,
Now, the
Peter.
next part, um, I'm just going to very quickly tell everybody where they can find you before we head off. Um, TikTok, Tuk South, Josh Porter,
Yeah,
YouTube,
took
Instagram.
south.
That's everything?
Yeah, that's it. That's the
Awesome. And
shebang.
Substack and Medium as well. Okay. Thanks everyone for dropping by. I'll post this probably tomorrow. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me.
All right.
And
See
good
you
luck
later,
to
man.
anyone.
Bye bye.
Good luck to anyone listening to this who's doing English as an
Yeah.
exam.
Thank you.
It's tough.
All right, man. I'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Peter. Ciao.